Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Gittin, page 31, which discusses an interesting conversation of two great sages, Rav Huna and Rav Chisda, and they were engaged in a discussion regarding winds. And while that was taking place, there was a very scholarly man by the name of Geniva who was coming toward them. And because of that, one of them said, maybe we should stand up for him because he's a very knowledgeable man. And the other said, well, there's an issue with that because I know that he has argued with the head of the Jewish courts, the second in command, just below the Nasi. He got into a quarrel with Mar Ukva regarding a particular topic, and because of that, maybe since he is so different than Mar Ukva, and he contended against him, maybe we shouldn't so quickly stand up. So in the meanwhile, the story continues, and when Geniva came, he asked them, he said, gee, what are you talking about? And obviously, they were not going to say, oh, we're talking about you, but they were discussing about the notion about different powerful winds, specifically the winds that were found in the end of the book of Jonah, where he was in Nineveh after he told them the report. He was under this tree, and it says it was extremely hot, and it's connected to the powerful winds. So on this, he said, you know, that there's actually 4 different winds that come throughout the entire world. The northern wind is very, very powerful, but if it wasn't for that wind, the whole world would not survive. And then he says there was a southern wind, which is even more powerful than it. However, there was an angel that tempers it, that takes care of it to make sure that it doesn't destroy the world. So it's very interesting. Why is this the conversation that's directly connected to Geniva, and should they stand up, should they not stand up? So first of all, just on its face, it shows us that there's so many things in this world that are going on that we just don't understand, that we don't realize. And we can just go about our day and think that everything is fine, which it is, but not realize the complexities of how it's possible that we live in such an incredible world. So in Geniva is just saying, first of all, that you should realize that all these different winds that come in different directions, these winds are extremely important for the actual functioning of the universe and for us to be able to survive, which again is an unbelievable thing to contemplate. Which means that when it came to Jonah, even though he was uncomfortable underneath that tree, and sometimes we're uncomfortable with when it rains or when it's windy or the weather doesn't cooperate, we have to realize that there's a bigger picture other than me just wanting to go outside for a few minutes. There's an entire world. There's an entire master plan of why things are happening. And therefore, we have to sometimes recognize to think above and beyond ourselves. But I'd like to also say that when you have the northern wind and the southern winds that are coming toward each other, they are both necessary. Even though they may have opposite effects, they don't just cancel each other out. They're both needed to be able to reach a higher good. And although the Talmud elsewhere discusses this whole confrontation of Geniva with Mar Ukva, there is this notion that if everyone would think the exact same and everyone would just agree to everyone's viewpoints, then we're not really going to be challenging one another. It's the notion of having different opinions, that you're coming in this direction, the other one's coming in that direction, and through debate and discussion, we're able to reach a higher level. That actually is something in which is extremely important to be able to recognize the absolute truth. And therefore, maybe this is the connection of Geniva saying that just like all the winds are important, even though they're coming in different directions and they have different purposes, so too we. It's the fact that we're all different that we could all come together and make the world a better place.